All right, welcome to your quarterly strategic briefing. There's a number that's keeping a lot of developers, and frankly, a lot of CFOs, up at night, and that's the real cost of agentic AI. You know, if you're building apps that can actually think and act on their own, the price tag is, well, it's not what it seems. So today, we're going to break down that new financial reality.
So let's just get right to it. How much does this stuff really cost? I mean, we've all seen the pricing pages, right? The per token rates. But as so many of us are finding out the hard way, those advertised prices, they're just the tip of the iceberg. The costs that can actually make or break your budget, yeah, those are hiding just beneath the surface.
And that's because the sticker price just isn't the real story. There are three pretty powerful and often hidden economic forces that are completely changing the game for AI budgets. Let's break down exactly what they are, because, understanding them is really the first step to getting them under control.
Okay, first up, the true cost of agency. We are pulling back the curtain on the hidden economics. Seriously, these are the core cost drivers that every single developer and product leader needs to master if you want to build a profitable AI product.
The first and honestly the most important hidden cost is what I call the tyranny of the output token. And the price difference here is just staggering. I mean, look across every major platform. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google. It costs 4 to 8 times more for an AI to answer your question than it does for it to just read it. Now, for any app that's generating code or reports or complex plans, this right here becomes the single biggest line item on your bill. Period.
Second, you've got to watch out for the agency tax. These are the fees for the very tools that make an AI so powerful in the first place, right? Things like web search, code interpreters, pulling information from files. These are not freebies anymore. Providers are charging for them either per use or per hour. And trust me, if you haven't budgeted for this tax, you are in for a serious surprise when that monthly bill hits.
And third, you have to remember you're not just picking a model. You're choosing an entire ecosystem. See, when you pick GPT-5 or Gemini, you're really buying into Azure or Google Cloud. And things like security, compliance, and all those special bundled discounts, they create these powerful incentives that can often outweigh the base token price. And that kind of locks you into a single platform.
So, keeping those forces in mind, how do we actually calculate the cost? Well, this brings us to a really critical and I think flawed metric, the cost per user. To truly understand your expenses, you have to stop averaging your users out. You need to start profiling what they're actually doing with your product.
And this table right here illustrates perfectly why that's true. Just look at the difference between a casual inquirer, someone may be using a customer service bot, and a professional analyst who's using a heavy-duty research tool. The analyst's usage isn't just a little higher, it is exponentially higher across the board. We're talking 21 times the output tokens. You just can't use the same cost model for both of these people. It doesn't work.
So with that, it is time for the cost showdown. We went ahead and modeled these two user personas against the very latest pricing from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google to find the bottom line. This is the data you're going to want for your next budget meeting.
So what is the bottom line here? We've crunched all the numbers for the monthly API cost to serve 1,000 users. And, let's just say the results might not be what you're expecting.
Okay, here it is, the full breakdown. Just take a second and look at the massive range of these costs. I mean, depending on the model you pick and the kind of work you're doing, your monthly bill for just 1,000 users can be anywhere from $19 all the way up to $1.5 million. It's wild. Let's zoom in on what's really driving these numbers.
Okay, for our casual inquirer, our low-end user, we have some clear budget champions. Google's Flash models are unbelievably cheap, starting at just $19 for 1,000 users. And here's the really crucial insight. A huge reason why they're so cheap is Google's massive free tier for its search tool. That can completely eliminate that agency tax we talked about for smaller apps.
Now let's flip to the professional analyst. Here, the power players really emerge. GPT-5 and Gemini 2.5 Pro are basically neck and neck, right around $2,000 a month. But then there's Anthropic's Claude Opus at over $16,000. That is a 7.5 times price jump. Now, it's an incredibly capable model for sure, but you are paying a massive premium for that power.
And that premium? it becomes even more stark when you look at a high-volume automated workflow. If you run that same job on Claude Opus without any optimization at all, your monthly cost becomes a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. I mean, a number like that can sink a project before it ever even launches.
But what if we make just one strategic architectural choice? By simply using Anthropic's batch processing API, you get an immediate 50% discount. That one decision cuts your bill clean in half, just like that. This proves it. How you build your application is just as important as which model you choose.
And that brings us to our final section, architecting for profitability. We've seen the problem, we've seen the sticker shock. Now, let's talk solutions. This is your strategic playbook for getting these costs under control.
The single most effective strategy you can use is called a mixture of experts architecture. Look, don't just send every single request to your most expensive model. That's crazy. Instead, you build a smart router. So, step 1, every request hits a cheap, fast model. Its only job is to figure out how complex the task is. Then, step 2, your system routes that request to the right model for the job. This way, you save your expensive, high-powered models for only the tasks that truly need them. Okay, another critical lever you can pull is prompt engineering. Remember that tyranny of the output token? Well, you can fight back by being ruthlessly specific in your prompts. Don't just ask the AI for a summary. Instead, demand a structured JSON output with specific fields, like you see here. Forcing the model to be concise directly cuts your output tokens, and, therefore, your costs. It's that simple.
So let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. 1. Output tokens are your #1 cost. You have to manage them obsessively. 2. The agency tax on tools is real, so you have to budget for it. 3. Architect for cost control from day one with a mixture of experts router. 4. If the task isn't happening in real time, use batch processing for huge discounts. And 5. Remember, you're choosing an ecosystem, not just an API. You've got to evaluate the whole package, not just the token price.
And that really leaves us with one crucial question for you and your team to think about. Is your AI architected for performance? Or is it architected for profitability? Because in this new economy, the answer to that question is going to define your success. Thanks for joining this briefing.